These videos are brought to you by G66 UK, which is your place to grab your Fractal unit within the UK. There's FM3, FM9 and XFX3 there. No waitlist for the FM3 and the XFX3. I think there might be a short waitlist on the FM9 Mark II Turbo, which has the larger scribble strips, but probably a very short waitlist if there is one at all by the time you're watching this video. Today I wanted to look at some options around some of the drives that we've got within the Fractal world, because there is a plethora of them. Right, we're using the Kranz Tucana Clean, which is like a boutique Kranz amplifier. I've got the gain here at like 5.82. It is pretty clean most of the way up. Bass at 3.26, mids at 5, treble at 5.9, presence at 5, master volume at 5. And then the cab I'm using is actually Keith Urban's cab from his Tweed amp. So that's Legacy Cab 20. I've got a dual head tape here, which is kind of giving me some kind of, stuff going on. And then the South Church, ultra high quality. This is kind of based on a Bricasti type reverb. Okay, my favourite drive to start off with in the Fractal world is actually the Blues OD. This is based on the Marshall Blues Breaker, which got reissued recently, and is a cracking pedal. I have one in real life and it's amazing. The settings that I go for are basically kind of 7 across the board, so level 7, tone 7, gain 7, and you go from what could be a fairly boring clean that instant kind of super touch sensitive thing that beautiful thing. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that one, really, because that, to me, probably my favourite drive in the whole of the Fractal world. But settings kind of gain 7, tone 7, level 7 seems to be roughly kind of sweet spot for me, so that's easy. Then there's the OD1 Overdrive. So this is sort of the godfather or grandfather or whatever you want to call, some sort of relation of a Tube Screamer. This is what they think basically preceded the Tube Screamer, the first kind of soft clipping overdrive, I think. But it's got a nice kind of a big throaty sound to it. Maybe not one for everything, but one that I think might end up being overlooked by many folks, because, what is a Boss OD1? Possibly something that not many of us have actually tried. And yeah, so that one I think is worth a look. Certainly for kind of lead stuff where you might want some of that mid boost, because there's definitely a lot of mids with that particular pedal. Then in terms of something Tube Screamer-ish without the mid push, we could go for a Timmy, or this is the Love Pedal Amp 11, which I think is kind of based on the Timmy circuit. You can kind of tell, given that, yeah, it ends up being very similar in terms of configuration. This is ideal for something with humbuckers because we can control how much bass is going through or not. And you get a very different response depending on where you set that bass cut. For me, I've got single coils on this guitar. So something that gives you that tube screamer sort of thing, but what's a tube screamer? A tube screamer sort of thing, but without as much of an aggressive mid push, and kind of has a bit more of that transparent edge. A bit more kind of sparkle. Settings I like: drive wherever you like, bass start, cut start in the middle, and the tone just pushing that a bit to give us a bit more sparkle, because my kind of basic tone was kind of dark. Level at 6.23 there. Okay, then moving on. This one is new to the Fractal world, but is actually a really kind of balanced circuit, ideal for humbuckers as well as being quite a good sort of rhythm kind of thing. Because we can control the bass response, so and this spectrum thing is quite a powerful control. Basically controls how scooped or not it is. So set that lower for a kind of more mid-forward voice, or as you crank it up higher, you're cranking the lows and the highs a bit. But yeah, that kind of works as a pretty nice... kind of, you know, starting point for a rhythm tone. Or like a chunky tone that goes alongside your clean. That's kind of what I might use that for. Bit of a classic in the Nashville scene. People have been asking for this for ages in the Fractal world. So that's kind of what you can do with that. Drive 2 here. The Sir Riot, I think, is a really good bet for doing that same kind of rhythm tone thing, but with a bit more edge. So you can kind of think about this as a Marshall and a box type pedal. The Sir Riot is somewhat based on the Marshall Governor type circuit. And I actually have a Marshall Governor in the form of a Boss Angry driver on my live pedal board, specifically for my kind of chunky. Which is a really good bet for taking your clean to a nice kind of meanish rhythm tone. So the Nobels is a bit softer. It does have a ton of gain on tap if you need it. But I think it's really, really, really nicely voiced for kind of rock, heavier sorts of stuff. Just has that easy set it, forget it type vibe to it, just like the real pedal. Okay, then the SD9, Ibanez SD9. I think is a great kind of lead channel in a pedal type voice. you know, a choice for Wayne Krantz, Michael Landau, Scott Henderson, but this distortion, yeah, you set that wherever you like it. It does have this pretty singing voice wherever you set it. I've got the level here pushed up quite high because there's not a load of output from this pedal, and the tone you probably want to start maybe backed off slightly, even as far down in real life as sort of 9 o'clock is maybe a good starting point, depending on what kind of voiced amp you're going into. But the SD9 is a really good bet for, depending on the amp, match it with the right kind of amp, and it can do a beautiful thing. Last of all, the Esoteric RCB, I really like this. This is Tube Screamer-esque, one of my preferred things. But here we go into a matchless cranked sort of thing. So let me just show you without the drive. You can hear the bass is getting a little bit kind of woofy there, so I might sort of lower that. But for this kind of tone, so we're already basically really setting things already on a pretty cranked sort of vibe. Chuck the Blues OD in front again. And listen to those strings. I think that's a really, really, really beautiful tone. So that Blues OD again is what I kind of started with, and it's what I've come back to just finish off the video, because I think that sounds absolutely cracking. An amp that was already kind of singing dark. Is now taken over the top into a absolutely bonkers touch responsive lead tone. So I don't know, give that a try. I think I'll start with it, save it there, but I'll drop this up into the folder if you want to try it. As I say, I'm using kind of single coils mostly here. I've got a humbucker in the bridge, but I think that Blues OD for me is my favorite drive. But some honorable mentions for other stuff that you might want to use for various tasks within the Fractal world. Leave the comments your favorite drives that you like to use, if you've got any, for other folks to read. I'm sure the opinions of other folks will be useful, you know, for people kind of looking for drives to check out. Don't forget as well that here in your preamp section you can boost with various types here, which is a really good alternative to using a drive block. If you're kind of limited for stuff or using an FM3, that can be a really good bet for kind of chucking on a boost. So give that a try as well. This video is brought to you by G66 UK, so thanks for that, and I'll catch you all in the video soon. Cheers.